catches, puts up a three. One go. Rebound box.
Now head over in this direction. Gone to three.
Tie game with 5 seconds remaining. The impossible has happened.
Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler.
Anthony for three. Puts it in. Bridges. Oh my God. Oh, what? Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the rejection. Curry way downtown. Bang!
Bang! We are back. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Camp's Corner. On today's episode, we have 3-time Women's Coach of the Year in the Little East Conference and 2-time Little East Conference champ and head coach Jenna Cosgrove of the Rhode College Anchorman. Jenna, how you been in this offseason?
Been great, Cam. Good. Been great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Have you ever been? I'm pretty sure you've been on a podcast like sit down type thing before, right?
Yeah.
Yep. What were you featured on before?
Oh God.
So you've been on a couple of them then.
Yeah, I've been on a couple. I don't know off the top of my head. One was D3 Hoops, but a couple other more like smaller ones and local ones. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. So coming off of like your most recent awards, Coach of the Year, going back to back, and of course 3-time. I've asked a lot of coaches and players as well that have accomplished similar things like that. What do these awards mean to you? The Coach of the Year awards.
It's just a credit to, the players we have and the staff I have. Everything is because of that. I'm most proud of how much we've progressed as a group in these last couple of years. And I just had my first 3 of my recruiting class. My first recruiting class are about to be done and graduate. And, that's the best part.
Yeah. Do you still see them around the campus and stuff like that, or you haven't been in touch with them?
Yeah, actually, yep. And Mayor Gallagher will graduate. She'll graduate May 14th. The other 2 are finishing up, but really close relationship, and that's the best part of it. I've seen them all very recently, and I know they're wrapping up with school. So
yeah, definitely. That's definitely the best part of coaching is gaining that personal, connection and things like that. But before we get into like everything with Rick, of course, Rick Cedric, everything. We're going to jump back to 2005, your first year at Endicott, first playing year and everything like that. What was your focus?
Oh.
Yeah. Like first, like going into school, what was your main focus?
It's so funny you say that because I'm actually going to speak at Endicott for the first time since I've graduated. We went back this year to play, which was really cool. And we left with a W, but, I went to Endicott for sport management. I got my coaching certification, and I always knew I wanted to coach, but I really dove into the sport management side and did internships, kind of everything but coaching. And I thought that really helped me diversify that experience. And kind of at the end of the day, when I graduated, I really figured out that I wanted to coach. But yeah, it seems like a long time ago.
Yeah, I know. Because I'm actually trying to build a profile myself on that app LinkedIn. So I was like, looking up some of your things, what you've been doing. And I saw you went there to school. I know like the girls like had that picture of you playing. Was your intentions ever to play, or like I just kind of like how did that come about?
Yeah, I wanted to play. I was recruited to play Division III, and so my focus
so you were recruited, yeah.
Oh yeah, so I was choosing a school based on playing basketball and getting the degree I wanted. So it's funny because a lot of the schools we play now, or a lot of the coaches, some of them recruited me, including in our conference. So
yeah. So coming out of high school, like that was your main intention, was to play. And then once you got, familiar with like the programs and things like that at Endicott, that's like what kind of suited you the best.
Yeah. I was attracted to Endicott for the education, the opportunity to play, and the location, kind of all of that. So it's a great spot. Now I'm lucky to be at Rick. So
yeah, for sure. And I know Cody is an alum there too.
Oh yes.
Kind of showing me the ropes and things like that. But I'm pretty sure he was at that game when you guys traveled up there. So that must have been cool for him calling you guys up there. But as far as you, like during your playing days and stuff, like who was a mentor for you? Like someone that you looked up to, that kind of paved the way for like your playing career, as well as your coaching career.
Well, for sure, my coaching career is paved by my grandfather, my late grandfather, and my uncle Jack, who's currently the Kobe football coach and previously the winningest coach in UMaine football history. He's in the Hall of Fame at Maine and the state of Maine, the University of Maine, and he's just the closest person to me to mentor throughout my life, including while I was playing. So, it's funny. I wasn't a superstar. The girls had that picture of me or whatever and traveled with it to Endicott. But when I look back now, it's like, I was an okay player. I could have
Mm.
been better. I think if I, but I was a good athlete, but I feel like I was born to coach, and I feel like um, it's just funny how things work out. But I look at it now and I'm like, I wasn't a superstar, but I love the fact that I can now I can develop those
Mm.
players and have the success with coaching and getting the best out of my players. So it comes full circle.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I was a player firsthand too in high school. And like, obviously I wanted to try to pursue the college level, but when I was graduating, of course, COVID kind of, messed everything up. I didn't really have a senior year for basketball and everything like that. But, new passions come along. Like you said, coaching was, something that you found in, to stick around the game. And of course, like pick the best route. And it's kind of like going along that, I don't know if you've seen some of my episodes, but my first episode was with, Joe Mazzulla. He's one of the assistant coaches of the Boston
Yes.
Celtics. And his dad was my coach, like throughout my whole entire career, playing basketball, middle school, high school. And,
I saw it. Yep.
yeah, he played at West Virginia. He was in the Final Four. Like he played against guys like Curry, John Wall, Marcus Cousins. And like coaching was like, he felt that he would have been a better coach than a player, to pursue like the professional, career path and things like that. So I can completely understand where you're coming from. And it kind of like, jump the gun a little bit. What's the like perspective? How does that change from a player to like a coach? In your perspective?
I mean, I think the perspective. There's just a lot
how you view
more.
the game and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I view the game so differently. Like I try and think back of when I played and how I viewed the game, and the mindset's so different. Like
Yeah.
you're just as you get older, the game makes a lot more sense. The game slows down in your mind. I spent my entire 20s learning from one of the best in the business in Division I, and I'm grateful for that, because everything I really, all my coaching knowledge and really what I've developed came from my time at Fordham. It really did, and learning from mentors like Stephanie Gately and the people that I worked alongside with, in at that program. They were my mentors as far as the coaching aspect. I think, stepping out of my comfort zone, being a small town girl from Sharon, Mass, and going only an hour away to school in Endicott, I really stepped outside my comfort zone, taking that leap of going to the Bronx and, spending 7 years of my life in New York City and kind of putting the time in. Sometimes I was very much like, okay, I got to get back home. I've been here too long. But every single year there, I developed, and ultimately timing, led me to this job. So I'm grateful for that, because I put a lot of time in at that level to get back to this level, become a head coach, and be close to home.
Yeah, definitely. And all the opportunities that come to you is kind of like something similar that I'm going along. Like any opportunity I can get, I'm gonna take it, because you don't know where it's gonna lead you, and you don't know who you're gonna meet, all the connections and things like that. So, like you said, you can only be grateful for it.
Absolutely. I remember actually getting a call a year out of college. I called my uncle and I said, okay, I got offered the D3 assistant job at Hartwick up in New York, Division III, or I could take the administrative assistant job with the women's basketball team at Fordham in the Bronx. And I was like, it was those two. And I really stepped outside my comfort zone doing that. And, that was, that's what I always preach, is do it when you can, get away. I mean, I traveled everywhere and got to do a lot, and, but really built my coaching mindset, my perspective, my philosophy and everything like that, to bring to Rhode Island College.
Yeah, definitely. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, like you said, to reach all these different kind of career paths and things like that. But like kind of going back to like Endicott and things like that, how did your career like pan out? Your playing career pan out? Like what were your team successes throughout the years? And like when did throughout those 4 years, when did that like coaching passion and like career path kind of like open up for you?
We had a really good year my senior year. Endicott always has good teams. Actually, no one had won a conference championship up until I think it was the year before COVID. So probably 2019 for them. But my team won 26 games. I think it was the most in school history. My senior year, we lost in the championship game with Salve, which was heartbreaking, because I think we were 23-6. So we had a lot of success. But again, I think when I'm thinking about now, like, I was so invested in doing a lot of different experiences within sport, because I tell some of my players too, when you're playing in the moment, like, at least for me, when I was playing and I was a D3 athlete, I was interested in what else there was besides basketball, right? But still related to sport. But then when I stepped away from it, and within 3 months that summer, I was like, wait, I could pursue a career in coaching. And that's where I really dove in. And in my first year out of school, I became a volunteer assistant at my high school. I coached AAU, started making contacts, and I was super young. I was, 22, and then I dove right into it, my entire 20s. So it just sprung from there right after graduation, when I realized, okay, I did all these things. I didn't love them, but I think I could love doing coaching. I just didn't think of that in the moment of playing.
Yeah. What was your major when you graduated? Like, what did you major in those 4 years?
I was a sport management major.
Okay. And then you went over to Fordham and you actually attended as a student, right? For 2 years?
No. So my story at Fordham is interesting. So I took the job. The coach at the time, just hired a whole new staff. She was in the last year of her contract. Now, if you had told me that, would I still have taken the job? Probably, because I was 22. For the others, they've had a little bit more to risk. So that season went on. It was a losing program. We were at the bottom of the A10. She gets let go. We all get let go. They kept me on to keep things moving with the girls. And ultimately, the two candidates came in, the current coach and actually the Seton Hall coach, Tony Vizella, and I toured them around, and I got kept on by the hire by Stephanie Gately. I got bumped up to director of basketball operations. So I was in that role for 3 years. So while doing that role, I also pursued my master's degree in educational leadership. I traveled the world. We did a foreign tour to Australia, Fiji, New Zealand. And being a director of ops at that level, you're really hands-on in everything. I mean, I was a part of the direct coaching staff, but from an ops standpoint, as just, being in charge of an entire travel party, budget, fundraising, marketing, whatever it might be, camps. And then I ultimately got bumped up. After those 3 years, I got bumped up to an assistant coach and eventually recruiting coordinator. So it all kind of came full circle, because once I got that opportunity on the court, I grew that much more. And right when I turned 30, I said, okay, it's time to make this move. So I coached a little bit internationally. I went overseas to Israel, coached for 3 weeks over there. We won a gold medal. But it really was, timing is everything too. This is home for me, and got the job. I applied on my birthday, June 2nd. And I got hired late August. Took a while, but it's all good.
Yeah. So I saw you also, you coached the USA Open women's team as well too, right? Before you come into Rick. Yeah. So what was that experience like?
That was really cool. I mean, that was a combined team, a selected team with a combination of D3 kids and D1. I mean, we had the point guard from Pepperdine, who I'm still very close to, a post player from USC, and you got to compete internationally. And, it was combined with a heritage experience, but it was just, it was awesome. I mean, that was a really, really cool experience. And right after that is really when I dove in at Rick. So pretty special.
Yeah. So, kind of going along like the Fordham lines, and like how you said you spent like 7 years of your life there, and like just more and more opportunities came. Like, how did you find yourself in these opportunities? Like, what did you do in order to like, put yourself out there and, really reach out to like these big like opportunities so like you can get your name out there as fast as possible?
Yeah, that's a great question, Cam, because I always express my interest to coach. So I also try and stay very present. So like I do, I was in that director of ops position for 3 years. But you learn each year, you develop each year, but I was itching to get on the court and for that next opportunity. So I kept expressing it. I knew that opportunity would come. Especially with hiring within and, feeling it out. I was itchy at one point to make the jump because I wanted to get on the court sooner. But again, I saw it in the future, and I was learning from a great coach. I was in a great conference. So when that opportunity came, she knew I was the next one up. And 1 year on the court wouldn't have been enough. I don't think I would have developed enough. I think you really have to find your voice as a coach. You have to find what works for you, what you believe in. be comfortable being on the court and who you are as a coach. So those 3 years did me, by my third year, I really developed that confidence,
Right.
And was ready to make that move.
Yeah, no, definitely. I completely understand that because like that's kind of how like I was like I was like not that I wasn't confident in myself of like what I could do and like where I could bring my voice and things like that, but that COVID year kind of like screwed me in a way because I wasn't able to like outlet myself on campus and no like
Yeah.
really knew who I was. So that's when I developed this idea and I was like, let me get started and do anything I can.
Oh, you're
So
the best. You're good for what you do.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
I did want to ask you, have you guys like I know you guys have watched over film and things like that. Do you hear the calls like that me and Cody have called and like things like that? Like, can you hear like our voices and
Yeah,
stuff like
I mean,
that?
I've watched especially I don't, so my family obviously watches a lot of them if they can't come. My mom lives in Florida, so she tunes into every stream and
Oh,
she
awesome.
loved you and Cody. I know that I've watched the championship or end clips, we've highlight tape and stuff like that, and you guys are the best. So do a really, really good job
I appreciate it.
and
Yeah.
show a lot of I guess, just to compare to a lot of passion. You can tell you have a lot of passion and you can tell that in your voice and your relationship with the girls. So it's great.
Yeah, no, definitely. I actually grew up with Antonia. I've known Antonia for a while, so she's probably like the most like connected I've been. That's how I kind of like, I guess bonded with everybody else. But
I didn't know
yeah.
you were from Johnston until I recently saw your Facebook post with Coach Missoula. So I didn't know that. So very cool.
Yeah, no, I born and raised and I'm still living here. I'm trying to, get out to Kingston. I don't know if I'm gonna be living down there yet, but going back to what was I gonna say? Oh, the coaching style. So from compared to like your first coaching job, you said was that a head coach at a high school on a varsity team or was it
No,
assistant?
I was volunteer assistant. I was
You were
assistant for the
volunteer, okay.
varsity team. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So compared to your first like official job, I guess you could say, and then compared to like now, how have you seen yourself grown over those years, and what would you tell yourself back then that you've kind of learned now?
So as a coach back when I would say 22, I was very unsure of myself. I would say I just didn't have the confidence. I also just I wasn't established of who I was and what was really important to me. I think that grows with time. And like, I even look back at Fordham, like that grew that whole time, which was a long time. I would say, you know, the more you get out and expose yourself and really do things on your own and not just be a bystander. I think when I was younger, I was more of a bystander, right? I'd have a voice, but it was quieter and I'd be on the sideline watching. But if you can get out, even just coaches, like if you want to coach, even just getting out and training kids and having the confidence to really like develop and instruct, you develop that confidence within yourself. So that's what I would tell myself, the younger Jenna. I would say, hey, get out, train kids, do this. I think the world has changed too. I think individual trainings and things have developed a lot more than when I first graduated college and some of those exposure things. But yeah, like now I could walk into a gym and run a practice. I actually tell my kids, I have a lot of players that want to coach, and I actually taught coaching, the science of coaching, HP 308. I just finished up this semester and it was my first time teaching it. And I always tell them, I go, when I left Fordham, I was 30 years old and I was nervous to coach my first practice at Rick in 2017. Mainly that the nerves came from never doing it before on my own, having it be my team. So the more you do things and throw yourself in uncomfortable situations, exactly what you said, be comfortable with being uncomfortable, the easier things become for you. Now it's second nature. I always prepare and am organized and walk in with a plan, but I could do it second nature without a doubt and not be nervous. But I was definitely nervous because I hadn't done it all myself. I told my class, that's the other thing, put yourself in a situation to lead. And not just be an assistant per se, or ask if you can run a practice if you're an assistant, and do it on your own and not have anyone help you out. That stuff will really help a future coach.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, like what we were talking about earlier, being comfortable with being uncomfortable is like kind of something like I go by. Like you don't know the types of connections you can make unless you put yourself out there. Like it's like just going back to like Cody and like Scott and all those guys, like I was doing a student ran, like one of the student ran programs to kind of like start broadcasting and all that stuff. And, you know, it wasn't obviously what I expected. We weren't on the courts. They didn't have like the accessibility to do things, which is like, you know, understandable in a way, but like, it was something like, all right, like I'm a type of person to be like, I got to get on the ball and I got to get rolling, like however, you
Right.
know, fast I can. So I ended up bumping into Cody, and I went to high school with Cody when I was a freshman. He was a senior. So I was like,
Wow.
so I was like, oh, what's going on, Cody? You know, nice to see you, whatever. And I was like, what are you doing at Rick? And he's like, he's Scott's assistant. So Scott's the assistant, you know, to one of the guys, and that Cody is Scott's assistant. So he was like, yeah, so I do like broadcast, I do like PA, and I help out with everything else. He's like, this is my first like job I got with it. Do you want to see how I do it? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll see how you do it. And then right from that day, the next week or so, he talked to Scott and I got right on, which was like cool because like it was kind of like perfect timing, you know what I mean? Because they were looking for
That's
an
awesome.
apprentice. They were looking for an apprentice, and I was the kid like right there just to, you know, kind of join the action.
Too good to be true though, because now we're losing you.
I
But
know.
we'll have you sometimes.
I know. No, I'm definitely gonna. Whenever I have free time and there's games at Rick, I'm gonna make my way down there for sure. Because watching like you guys and the boys team and like making those connections, like this was my first like real year like on campus, and I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Talking to players, you know.
That's terrific.
Like it's so
That's
cool.
awesome.
And you know,
You
it all
do a
goes
great
back to what we
job.
talked to. No, I appreciate it so much. Thank you. Like, I didn't realize how many people at Rick actually like, you know, tune in and, you know, see all the stuff that I do. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Kind of like wrapping things up. Yeah. So, and what do you instill in your players at the end of the day? What's like one of the mindsets and like skill sets that you kind of teach your players, like, and that you've taught throughout the years that you've, you know, kind of always had in you and always like pursued to each player that you've coached?
Yeah, the one thing we preach every day, and like it's kind of been our motto for the last couple of years, is to be great. And that's
Mhm.
because we say that greatness requires effort, attitude, and toughness. I would say effort, attitude, and being a great teammate, or you know, you could place great teammate or toughness, whichever. But you always got to show up with a great attitude and have good energy and effort every single day, because those are things you can control. We do a lot of things in practice that we preach that, and we don't always, you know, count points, where we focus a lot more on, you know, the intangibles. Like I thought this year we had an excellent year. Obviously we had the best year that we've had since I've been here, made it to NCAA tournament, but I still thought there were some aspects of our leadership that lacked, you know, and that we're still working on. I thought you know, I still think that there's, you know, a height that we can get to, which is great. When you have a good season, you can look back and say, what can we do better? But, you know, I think leadership is something we're working on every single day, throughout, you know, from our seniors to our freshmen, our incoming freshmen, you know, now thinking about next year. You know, but we also talk about being a high character person, you know, and that translates to off the court. So how they conduct themselves off the court is huge. High character, and, you know, respect that goes with high character. And, you know, I'm trying to think, drawing a mind blank here, but we're doing a leadership meeting right now with our 5 rising seniors. It's a really dominant class. That's Antonia, Izzy, Janaya, Nelly, and Macy. And we've been doing it for the last few weeks in a postseason every Monday. And we kind of wrapped it up yesterday, but it's really to get all of them on board to be leaders. You know, especially because our program is where it's at, and we're going to be very veteran dominated in that senior class. So really just holding themselves to the highest expectation. We always say that you want to, you know, be the best person you can be and the best player you can be every single day, best version of yourself. So
Yeah,
we do hold them to high standards.
Yeah, definitely. That's the best group to do it with too. Like you said, like veteran heavy, like they have the experience. Like they've experienced back-to-back championships. They've experienced like what it's like to lose in like, you know, crucial games and things like that. You know,
Right,
kind of going off of like that. What was kind of like one of the like hardships of this season, like something that you guys had to overcome in order to push through to win a second championship?
Yeah, you know, we lost, you know, when I look back on the season, we lost to like 2 heavy hitters. We lost Brooke Young and Sophia Guerrier during the COVID year, who were the leaders, who were the scorers, they were the defenders, they did it all. And everyone else was kind of a role player around them. And then so this year we were so experienced, but we were, our leadership was undefined, and who we were as a unit was undefined. And I think we had the best first practice I've ever had in the 5 years this October 15th. But eventually in those couple of weeks of preseason, we realized we still didn't have an identity. We didn't have a superstar, which is fine because we don't have that, and I think that's our strong point. But we just couldn't figure out how to play together. I didn't know who was our starting lineup, I think, until till December. I started someone new almost every game. I think maybe 3 kids didn't break that starting lineup. So we're super deep. So that was part of them figuring out who we were, what this identity was going to be, and which is why I'm kind of trying to jump on it earlier this year with those 5 rising seniors and say, like, what do you want this to be next year? We lose 3, but we do have a heavy senior class that's coming back. So I saw that as an obstacle, defining who we were early on. We had 1 captain. I thought that was tough, on her, and she was an underclassman. So that was a challenge. But we had a really tough non-conference schedule. So as you know, from following us all year and calling our games, we had the toughest non-conference schedule we had since I've been here. And we didn't come alive until kind of December. I think beating Wesleyan was a big one right after Thanksgiving. That was a big win, first time in program history beating them. And that kind of kick-started us, but just happened a little late.
Yeah.
But it helped us in the long run. So there was a bonus to it.
Yeah, you guys went on like a win streak in the conference, like late, probably like you said, midway through the season, and like you just were unstoppable. And I think EastCon actually broke that win streak. And then I know you guys, obviously were like, that was tough to lose that one because they were like the 2nd seeded or 3rd seeded team in the conference. And then UMass, I ended up beating them in the playoffs. And then you faced off UMass, and then I capped off the season. But, kind of going along what you were saying about incoming freshmen, how does that, for an insider looking in like me, what does that look like for next year? Like, how does the recruitment process work for incoming players? Not even just freshmen, just players in general.
Yeah, I think returning those 5 players, returning a deep team, returning a bunch of starters. I mean, every freshman's got to earn their time, but we're bringing in better kids each year as far as like each class gets better and better. Winning helps. We're bringing in some bigger guards this year, which is really cool. Bigger wings. We look at the NCAA tournament game and, our guards got really out rebounded. That was a big reason for our loss in that first round. So, it challenges our players. Get out in the summer, get better, get in the gym, and you got to work for that playing time. Nothing's guaranteed when you come back. But we got a good group coming in, good group of kids too. And, and going back to what what we preach besides the high character, I think one thing is the unselfishness. And I think that's a reason for our success, but we got to be better at it, being very unselfish, playing unselfish basketball. I mean, our leading scorer was a freshman, but we had a lot of even keeled scoring across the board. I think that's something that's really tough when playing us. We got so many people that can do so many things, and that's something we preach every day, sharing the ball.
Yeah, most definitely. And was that your first time making the NCAA tournament as a coach?
Yeah, so we got stripped of it the year prior with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have D3 canceled the tournament. So that was like the biggest goal for us all year. That it was not only win the conference, because you got to win the conference to get there. But it was, do it so we can get to the tournament. That was the next hurdle for us, where now our mindset is let's get there and let's win a game.
I hope crazy, he followed you guys with the videos and stuff. That was pretty cool. I wanted to actually go to Amherst and watch that game. I wasn't, I wasn't able to go, but I live streamed it and watched it. That was like a nail biter coming down to like the end. Like, it was tough in the first half, and you guys started to pick it up. And I think it was like a 3-point game, cap it off. But, explain to me like your first NCAA match and like what you guys could do to improve for next year to, get to that same point.
Yeah, it's like when I think back of we've been to 3 Little East Conference championships, and the first one we went to, we were ready. We were confident. We had beaten EastCon twice, and then we went there and we lost, and we were frozen in the first couple of minutes. And you could tell that we had never been there, and they have as a program, especially with me being, with myself being there and my staff. So, once you could tell that, and the same thing in the first few minutes of the tournament game at Amherst. Like, St. John Fisher is a really good team, and they've been there, and we haven't, and they were just from the jump they were just a step ahead of us. So I think for us, it's, preparing for that moment, knowing now that we've been there to have, breed a little bit more confidence. I mean, I think with the experience comes the confidence. So I think that will come. They were a little bit, like I said, they were a little bit longer, and a little bit tougher. I mean, we're a tough team, but we got out rebounded by 19. We got down by so much early on, and we put on our, our press, and we came back. We had a chance to win, but it's really tough to beat a good team trailing the whole game. And in a moment like that, we had the last shot. I give them a lot of credit. They didn't back down. They had a lot of fight, but we've got to come out earlier, tougher earlier, and more resilient, because we got down by way too much early on.
Yeah, and you preached that too at the beginning of the season. I remember like a lot of post game conversations we had for like the broadcast and things like that. Like you said that you got to start off to a great start. I mean, it's not how you start, but it's how you finish. But in a way, like you have to start off right out of the gate, so you keep that pace and that momentum for the whole course of the game. And I completely understand that for sure. Definitely.
Yeah, playing 4 quarters is important. It's like we would have great third quarters, but there was always a quarter that was lacking.
Yeah.
So putting a complete 4 together. I mean, if we had 5 better minutes, in the beginning of that game, we could have had it. So, I think we know we're right there, and we just got to keep building.
Yeah, definitely. And I wish you guys the best of luck. That those 5 seniors coming back, you guys are gonna have another great shot at coming back and returning. So again, I applaud you guys, and I hope you guys are the best. And I kind of does it for no problem. I kind of does it for like the lineup and everything like that for the show. I appreciate you joining me, Jenna. I just want to ask you one question. What did you think of Camp's Corner? And was this the best podcast I've ever been on? I just want to know that firsthand.
I'm biased because I know you, because you've called our games. I think you're the best. I really do. I'm excited to have you back on, and this is definitely the best podcast because you're a special person. If you ever looking at someone to talk to, because I was just on some podcast, I forget, it was not like this. It was, I've been on some good, like D3 Hoops is different. That was like, I was selected to be on that, but I've been on some, I don't even know where they came from, but it like Antonia and like Ange, Ange.
I had Antonia on, yeah. I've had Antonia on.
Oh, you have Ange as a stud. She's so well spoken for a freshman. And just because she was rookie of the year, she'd be a great one.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely reach out. I want to reach out to a few of them. And I always told them and like the boys too, like I'm trying to do something. I don't know what it is yet. I'm still trying to think about it before I leave. Like something to have all them together, and like, because I just bought out like a ton of, not like a ton of equipment, but like more equipment to like, so I could like be somewhere and film it and like have multiple mics and things like that. It's just like,
Well, listen, if you ever want to organize something or want me to help organize something, or you want to pick my brain, I'm happy to help you.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I'll definitely be in touch, because I definitely want to try to do it either during the summer or like, probably maybe before like, everyone goes away back home and things. But
everyone leaves. Like I've got my girls on Monday meeting with me. And so then they kind of like, they get busy with finals and take off. So a good time is like literally right now. And if they're not ready or you're not ready, whatever, but also probably fall if you ever were around.
Oh yeah, I'll still
live there.
Definitely, yeah. I'll definitely be around regardless of, if I live there, if I end up staying there or not, but I'll definitely be around for sure.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, Ange would be a good one. Just rookie of the year. that kid is going to be a stud.
Yeah, for sure. And I can't wait to see like what they do and what they accomplish. And, I wish you guys the best of luck.
Thanks. Thank you. And if I could ever do anything, let me know.
For sure. Thank you. I'll be in touch.